Sure. The International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy comprises of homeopathic lovers, homeopathic students, and doctors. And we have 3 sessions in a row. The 7 to 8, we have our Hindi session. 8 to 9, we have our international session in English, and 9 to 10, local language session in Malayalam. All the videos of the same will be uploaded on the very next day itself so that all of you can watch again and again and study homeopathy in a better way. And we have a wonderful guest from Dr. SAURAV Arora, who is a gold medalist in MD Homeopathy, and is the faculty at the London College of Homeopathy, United Kingdom, and a member Registration Society of Homeopathy, United Kingdom. Guest faculty is Dr. B.R. Sir, Homeopathic Medical College Hospital and Research Center, and Baxham Homeopathic College. He's a founder of initiative to promote research in homeopathy and vivid homeopathy. He's ex-senior research fellow at GCRH in MAS and SHMZ. He is the ex-house physician also, and he's the author of 47 articles, including 20 peer-reviewed and 27 general articles. He has an experience of more than 17 years, and those who want to visit his site can go through http://sauravaaurora.com. And today, the doctor will be discussing about the research in homeopathy. Where is my cup of tea? This is something great because, as you all know, that everybody has to take a cup of tea from the very morning itself. So, from where you can have such a tea? So let us take the tea. Let us taste the taste of the. Let us taste the tea from Dr. SAURAV Arora. You're welcome to this session, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this elaborate introduction, and I'm honored that I'm part of this forum and discussing and sharing the experience, the challenges I faced in homeopathy and in research. So today's topic is close to my heart because, as you must have heard, I started initiative to promote research in homeopathy, and after so many years, it is still an initiative because there are lots of things to do in research, and we all can contribute to that. So today we are going to discuss where is my cup of tea. So even the coffee lovers can join in because it's where my cup of coffee also. Or if someone takes the juice, there's no problem. So we'll talk about where is my cup of tea, where to start, where to accept that as a clinician. So I'll quickly share my screen and then we can have a elaborate talk on this. I hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes.
Thank you. So research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. So we all like research. A few years back, I put a meme or a quote on online that everybody likes research. Few do it and very few understand it. So we all like research. We all like what council is doing, what this agency, that individual, that scientist. We want to invite them to our conferences because we want to hear about research. But when it comes to undertaking research, I think we are lacking behind in that aspect because there are certain do's and don'ts. We are going to discuss about that. So quickly moving forward, where is my cup of tea? So again, we'll have the understanding, and the understanding I have divided today is in 3 parts. Now, this 3 part were, applicable a decade back. They're applicable today, and they will be applicable a decade after also. Research literacy, where our research literacy stands. Do we know what research is being done? And when we know that research, we continue our journey towards the research proficiency or understanding. For example, we must have heard the in vitro study, in vivo studies, clinical trial, observational studies. Many a time, the design part is only the problematic thing, and people are in confusion that this is a trial or a control trial or a randomized trial, or what design or what thing they need to use in their study. For example, some students come to me, sir, I want to design a trial. Okay, fine. But until unless you have that research proficiency or understanding, it is not going to solve the purpose. And then comes the research expertise. The more I depute time or give time to the research over the years, no, it's not a one-day phenomenon. Over the year, I would be called an expert. So I would have that expertise. So we all should have that literacy. We all should have. And the people who are, interested in research, doing research, undertaking research, they should have that proficiency, that using of that language, that protocol, making that protocol, right? And then the moment we keep on doing our work, we would have that research expertise. So today's talk, because research is a very vast topic, I think in 1 hour we cannot even touch upon the R part of the research. Today we are going to have a discussion on the research literacy part. Now the big why. Although I wanted to play this video, but I think there is some problem with the sound. But let me tell you what happened. This was a video which was uploaded online by a group of people. They called themselves as 1023. So there was a campaign few years back, 1023.org. So they started a website and they claimed that there is nothing in it. So they put some derogatory videos online against homeopathy. Now, whenever these things come, we are very sensitive. Any skepticism come, a few days back, one of the, YouTuber, he put a skepticism in homeopathy, that homeopathy doesn't work, this and that. We will all have that skepticism for the rest of our lives. But the type of skepticism should be answered with the type of skepticism he has asked for. For example, if they're asking a valid questions about research, we should be able to answer in research language only. I treat 100 patients, it's not the answer. Whether out of those 100 patients have I published one paper and contributed towards the evidence-based science? Because whenever, we all know, whenever these things go to the at the governmental level, they need to be appended with the evidence. Only claim is not an evidence. Only seeing patient in our clinic is not an evidence. I may be treating even cancer cases, treating, but I need to be very, very sure that what part of that I am treating and I am able to give a better quality of life than the other modalities, the other available medical modalities. So we'll talk about all these things gradually when we go further in this presentation. So why research in homeopathy? Yes, because first, we are growing very fast. We are affordable, we are available, we can apply medicines easily. The homeopathy doesn't have any side effects. It is gaining popularity. Few countries, they have restriction, but despite those restrictions, the popularity is still rising. Even those, the people from those countries, they take consultation from Indian doctors. So it is gaining popularity. But at the same time, because of this, we are facing the controversies also. Every other day, you'll find a YouTuber or an Instagrammer putting one or the other post against homeopathy. So this controversy, why this controversy? Because of the mode of action. How homeopathy works. Now, this is the burning question since I think 200 years. How it works? We say that it improves immunity, it improves the nervous system, but how? What are the pathways? What are the genetic pathways involved? What are the epigenetic factors being involved? How it happens? It is not magic. We all say it's science and an art. So what is that science part? We need to understand, and that understanding would come only with the research part. Lack of standardization in preparation, prescription, and dissemination. Now, this is what we are targeted with. Okay, doctor, he gave 10 drops, I gave 2 drops, you give 15 drops. This medicine is prepared in this country by this method, in this country by this method. It even in India, we have like the last I saw, we had 414 manufacturing units in India, and out of those, only 104 were GMP certified. So if you deduct those GMP certified, all other pharmacies, they have their own method of preparation. So there is a lack of standardization. Physico-chemical nature of ultra high diluted medicine. What remains? We say it is nanostructure, nanoparticle, nano encapsulation, it is silica, water memory. There are n number of theories now. which support the existence of homeopathy. Now, effectiveness of homeopathy in various disease conditions. To all to address all such issues, research is the key. We can only find out if we do research in these areas. How we'll further learn. Now, the problems with research, we know now. Now we know the problems. The problems are poor motivation. Despite having, millions of registered homeopaths in India, motivation towards research is still poor. Why? There are certain other things also, wrong approach. We all want to do research, and majority of the time we take the wrong study or the design, and we end up in failure or the closure of that study. I don't have funds and I have taken the randomized clinical trials. I don't have the approvals, I've taken the case control studies. These are bound to be rejected because I have not followed the right approach. Inadequate exposure to research. I need to go to the people and talk to them what they did. But no, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that someone will reject my research or this or that. So there is inadequate exposure. There is inaccessibility to published research. Yes, if you go to Google, if you find some good article, at your disposal, you need to pay a hefty amount. Even our institution are not supporting us, giving us the institutional access or the colleges access. Now they started doing that. They've started dealing with that problems, but it is at a very smaller level. Lack of expertise. We have scientists, we have researchers, but the moment they are into that expertise, we lose a temper towards research. There is scarce manpower, there's scarce funds, there is lack of institutional support. So these are the problems associated with the research. How to deal them? So before dealing them, let's learn about basics about research in homeopathy. What we need to know about the basic about what is the research in homeopathy. So I was just rubbing the sticks together and I didn't realize I was doing the basic research. We all are doing research, but we are not reporting it. We are not publishing it. We are not contributing it. For example, if I ask right now to the people that which remedy works good in cases of migraine, people will tell me this, that, 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 that. That comes with experience, not with the bookish knowledge. After 10 years of down the line, 15 down the line, 40, 50 years down the line, you'll realize that your materia medica is sharpened every day with that experience, that contribution, that that this potency, this medicine given in this manner works better. So don't you think this is research? But we never tried to contribute to that. We never tried to share, never thought of sharing that with others. So we all are doing research. Research has many definitions, many definitions. Now, it is the explanation for answers. Yes, it is exploration for the answer which we are looking for. But it is a systematic investigation. Whatever investigation, if it is systematic, it is research. It is to establish the facts and to reach a conclusion. Now, this conclusion may not be a positive conclusion. Not every research comes that, oh, okay, homeopathy works. There would be some research, some observation that homeopathy is lacking in that area, or it is not positive, it is negative. Except that it is research. Research should be done with the unbiased mind. Now, this was what we were taught in the organ of medicine. Prejudiced observer, be an unprejudiced observer. So when you're unprejudiced observer, you should be ready for that conclusion. It's a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomena. Means to search, verify, present, and predict. Now, this whole definition, if you relate with homeopathy, is the discovery of homeopathy. Don't you think the Hahnemann was, happily translating books? One fine day, while translating, he observed that phenomena. Oh, yes, this is the phenomena. That it is not acting because of the bitterness of the medicine. It is acting because of something else. Let us try to explore. To explore that, he formulated a methodology, a protocol that I will dilute it and give it to the patient so that there is no side effect. Okay, there are certain symptoms. but not to that extent. Let me further dilute it. Let me further dilute it. So he was adaptive in that protocol and methodology. And at every step, he was noting down the observations. He was making notes of those observations which are still available today. And at the end, he concluded that it is because of homeopathy that things are acting. So that the system. So this was a further research question for further exploration. So the very foundation of homeopathy is on research only. And still we do research on every minute basis, every day basis. At the end of the month, we know that we have seen 20 patients of migraine, and this remedy or those remedies or group of remedies or whatever, it is acting good, right? So why should I do research? Now, this is the question. I'm happy being a clinician. I go to research conferences, I go to conferences, I meet scientists, I meet researcher, I click photographs, I have selfies, I do this, I do that. Why should I do research? Why should I depute my time to do that research, which I don't know even? No, we should do that research. Why? It is usually a dry subject. It is, it is very, good to hear about research. Okay, someone else is doing and we are okay, fine. Array, yes, clap. The research is being done. But when it comes to us, oh yeah, there are certain do's and don'ts and limitations and this and that. So it is considered a dry subject. And many time people ask, what are the benefits to invest so much of time and brain in research? What would I get? It's a human nature. We are very calculative. It should be. It should be. There should be some benefits or rewards. Now, it is the satisfaction in contributing towards benefit and support of our science. We always take off like that. We are supporting our science. We are supporting homeopathy from this part, that part. So research is one part which no one can deny. Even the statements can be denied. The smaller level of evidences can be denied. Tall claims can be denied, but not the research, because when it is documented, nobody can deny that. People can challenge it, people can do the other part of research to reject that research. Again, to reject that, they also need research. It is not the verbal rejection, okay, fine, I don't accept this research. That research is being done. We are no one to reject that on word basis. So it is the satisfaction in contributing. See, I'm running that initiative to promote research in homeopathy for so many years now. And it's open access. I'm not paid for it a single penny. I do my own website, web hosting, all the things. I'm doing it for like years together now, maybe 12, 13 years now. So, but I have that satisfaction that I'm putting something online that people are, ready to read and respond. Skill development. Now, this is important. Those who are doing their research jobs, like fine, it's part of their job. But apart from that job, what if it contribute to their skill development? That skill development will make our mind more sharper to practice homeopathy. And when we do research, even our own research, we know that that remedy works in that condition. So that research is also important when we share on the dais with the people. I'm very sure you must have heard Dr. Gupta's prior to this presentation, and he has had that extensive clinical knowledge in M&D. So he knows how to handle that patient. That research, he keeps on publishing things about M&D here and there. That is research. Now, what research needs? If we keep aside the institutional support and money for as of now, apart from that money or apart from that institutional support, the research needs a spark, an idea, an observation, a hypothesis, a fact we want to establish, a passion. Okay, fine, this is happening. Why this is happening? How this is happening? So I'll divide the part into unorganized research and organized research a few moments from now. That we all do unorganized research because we have an idea. Okay, fine. Let us try to append the biochemic with the main potencies, or let us try to use the LM potency in such condition, or let us try to work with the low potency in such condition. All these are ideas, all these are observation. Okay, fine, that doctor in that state is doing that, why not me? Let's make a hypothesis that this works. So research needs a passion. Now this research flow is applicable, or it is always applicable from the time of Hahnemann, which we discussed, that he had that research question. He went on finding the information about homeopathy in the literature. He read this, that, Galen, all sorts of literature he went through thoroughly. He prepared a protocol. If the protocol would not have been prepared, homeopathy would not have been methodical. So it was Hahnemann only who prepared the protocols, the forms, and all other things. So he prepared that protocol, he collected that data, he analyzed that data, and he published those datas. All the books which we read in homeopathy, the golden books, the foundation, these are through books only, through journals only. Now, the very existing of homeopathy is on research, and no one can deny that. So, those protocols still, the drug proving protocol, the classification of disease protocol, it is still valid today. So if someone says that, is there any research in homeopathy? Yes, there is research. It is founded on research only. He researched the things after an observation. And this flow is applicable to each and every research till date. You can, if you take the basic research, you take fundamental research, clinical trial, protocol preparation, literature review, surveys, they have to pass through this research flow only. So if you're thorough with the research flow, I think your understanding would be at par with the other people in the area, that you know how the protocol is prepared. And what after protocol? It is the data collection. What after data collection? You collect the data, and now it has to be analyzed. I know a couple of people or a couple of senior physicians, they say, we have hundreds of patients of PCOS. Now you're keeping those hundreds of case records with you for past 40 years. So what is the use for the profession? Apart from claiming that on any dais, what have you contributed? Now, it is, I do respect that, sharing on a dais is one thing, but can you share that protocol? Can you share more insight, more experience? This is how people like us would learn from that part. So this is important. We'll cover that in other. So now let us where to start thinking, where is my cup of tea or coffee or juice, where I should stand and where should I pick that. Now, because since I'm in a habit of giving the unconventional presentations, I always connect the dots at the end. So this is my way of presenting things. So I don't go in a flow that, okay, fine, a research flow, let us follow the protocol, this. So I think that flow is important when you're methodically studying a subject. But when you're discussing on a platform like this, I think that we should have all those burning questions with us. So let us say the induction and deduction logic. The deduction said that there is a theory. After theory, you draw a hypothesis, an observation, and confirmation. The induction said no, there should be an observation, a pattern, a tentative hypothesis, and a theory. Now, in our logic of homeopathy chapter, we say that homeopathy is because of the inductive logic. It is true. There was an observation by Hahnemann. He drew the pattern from that observation. And after that pattern, he drew the tentative hypothesis that something is acting, or when it comes to miasm, that there is some fundamental cause or fundamental thing which is not letting the disease cure or vanish off. And he came up with the theories. all the doctrines, theorems, he drew from that. So it was an inductive. After he did the inductive thing, we are using the deductive logic because we know that homeopathic theory is valid now. We are drawing the hypothesis that belladonna would work act in a patients of migraine having the belladonna type of headaches. We have observation and we are confirming those things. So right now we are using the deductive logic in our practice, but it was started with the inductive logic. So there is a balance. This balance we'll talk few slides later. Now always remember this triangle or this level of evidence chart, because this is where we lie. For example, if you read about the last line, the editorials, expert opinion, case series, case reports, case control studies, cohort studies, randomized control trials, systematic reviews. Nowadays, I'm seeing people writing their review articles. No, they are not systematic reviews. They are the expert opinion. Maybe you're an expert in your field, having 10 years of experience or 5 years of experience, or maybe 15 or 20 or 30 years of experience, having that expertise with you in clinical practice, and you're giving an opinion that there are n number of studies in that area and homeopathy is concluding to be effective. Now that is expert opinion. That is not systematic review. So when you rise up, we publish case series and case reports, then we publish case control studies, cohort studies, randomized trials, and systematic reviews. So all these are, you can relate to the slide I talk about the literacy, understanding, and expertise. So we always start with the literacy. We have literacy, we can write editorials, we can have an expert opinion, we can write review articles. The moment we have that literacy converted into understanding, I know I am treating cases, I can report those case series, case reports. After a couple of years, I know that because I have seen so many cases, I can have case control studies, a placebo control study, longitudinal study, cohort studies, 10-year study, 15-year down the line, 20-year down the line. You go to your old records and see the type of patients they used to visit you, you'll realize pre-COVID, post-COVID, there is huge difference in the mentality of the patient. That can be a good cohort study. Randomized control trial. I know that homeopathy is working in relation to a placebo control trial. And then systematic reviews, very hard to do. If you remember in 2010, Shang et al. Published one article and they rejected the very existence of homeopathy because of that one systematic review. And it took nearly a decade to challenge that. And still, we are in search of one systematic review from any country, be it any country. We are still awaiting that systematic review in homeopathy by homeopaths to reject that. And still, that 2010 Sheng et al. Or Lancet article, you would be remembering with the common name Lancet article, Lancet journal. So we still waiting for that answer, for that systematic review to answer that. Although we have now n number of things we rejected that with those things, but it was published. And now once a thing is published from a research point of view, it has a say. So our decision of playing with the research depends on the research literacy we have. Coming to the scope of for clinician. Now this is important. See, we cannot be a basic or fundamental researcher. No, we cannot. But we can be researcher. We need to find what kind of research we can do in our clinics or being associated with the scientists or researchers. So what is the scope of clinician? Clinical research is different from clinical practice. Now, I'll give you a simple example. When we have faith, it is clinical practice. That Natromure works good in headaches. We all agree that if it is a Natromure kind of headache, the patient would be benefited after giving Natromure in certain potencies. But what if I have suspicion? Does Natromure have any role in headaches? When that suspicion comes, when that research question comes, it becomes a clinical research. When I use the established treatments, giving references or citation from the books that boric has this symptom, I give, a patient comes to me, I verified that symptom from boric and I give. That is allowed because I'm using an established treatment to treat that patient. That is clinical practice. But when I collect evidence to establish that treatment, that becomes clinical research. For example, I am collecting data of 100 of migraine patient, and I'll see for in how many patient I prescribe Netromure or Belladonna or Gelsemium or Irisv. At the end, I would have that data. Now, that data is an evidence to establish the treatment part. So this is clinical verification also. So it is only one thin line difference. So what exactly we should aim at being clinicians? Now, this is very important slide if we want to learn where we stand. On one side, if you can see, I have written the observational studies. On the left hand side, you can see I've written the experimental studies. Now you can see when it comes to experiment like clinical studies, randomized control trial, phase 1, 2, 3, 4 trials, when the trial word comes, it becomes an ethical foundation to us. That ethical foundation nowadays is the prime most thing in clinical research. You may arrange fund from any agency, you go to council, you go to Ayush, you file for the EMR scheme, whatever, you get that fund from any institution. What about the ethical approval? What about the ethical clearance? Because these things, they need rigorous approvals and protocols because you are experimenting. But when I come to observation part, that is whatever is happening with the patient, I'm giving a set standard treatment to the patient and I'm just observing. For example, in therapy studies or prognostic studies or diagnostic studies or observation study with any drug or secondary data analysis, any case series or single case report, I know that I'm working on the observation part. Now, this observational part or the observation study, the protocols are malleable and adaptive. This is allowed because I'm not experimenting, I'm only observing the natural phenomena. That yes, my treatment is based upon a reference from a materia medica or a source book. I'm using that repertorization or materia medica or pharmacy or potency reference, or with my experience, I'm giving to the patient a standard therapy or homeopathic mode of treatment. And I'm just observing on certain types. For example, I want to go for a diagnostic study, or I want to go for an observation study, or single case report. I publish one case report on XYZ, migraine. Now I have 25 cases. I want to convert those 25 cases into case series. So I'll collect them at one place and I will publish them. So protocols are malleable and adaptive. So this is where we stand. This is the observation study we can do as clinicians in our clinic because we don't need huge funds. We don't need as such ethical approval. Yes, we need consent of the patient. Always do that. Always take that because that is important. The verbal consent, the written consent, nowadays it is mandatory. Even for presenting your papers in CMEs or conferences, nowadays the new suggestions or the new guidelines says that you should have that ethical consent from the patient that I am willing to share my case detail, and the doctor can share that in a larger platform. So you must have seen people put a white stripe on the eyes just to maintain the confidentiality of the patient, just to maintain the privacy of the patient. We use acronyms for Mr. X, Mrs. Y. We don't use the full names because we want to maintain their confidentiality, and this is important and allowed. So observation study, we as a clinician have, we this is our cup of tea. On the other part, we can always go for collaborations. If I'm a youngster, I want to join council as junior research fellow or senior research fellow or research associate, I can do that. I can go to a scientist, I can collaborate with an institution. But in such case, I can collaborate on certain ethical grounds. What my contribution to that study is. Now, these are some important study designs. For example, if you take case studies or case series, these are pilot or exploratory trials. You can do that. You can publish your case series. Surveys, they are like the designs are for cost effectiveness, techniques of prescription, epidemiological data. And then we have clinical verification for drawing the precision in prescribing to verify the symptoms from pool of materia medica. Yes, we can do clinical verification. We know that this symptom is valid in a patient. We can always note out that symptom, and if the patient is responding to that symptom, we can always report that yes, we gave this remedy for this condition in this potency, and this symptom was clinically verified. For example, if you talk of surveys, I have taken couple of surveys in those years, and I can proudly say, being a clinician, I can do that. Still, I would request at the end of the presentation to all of you to participate in the survey I have undertaken just like few weeks back. The dose quantification in homeopathy. If I can do it, anyone can do it, because it was a burning research question, and I took that. So this is an example which I did as a part of literary research. 10 years back, I contacted few of the eminent personalities in homeopathy, and I asked for their views about priority areas for research in homeopathy. And this article is still valid, still available online. And recently I published the version 1.2.2 in this year only, March 2024, that priority areas for research. And now maybe by next year, I would have the most updated version of that. So this was a part of literary research, collecting and collating the ideas, the experience, the expertise, the contribution of different scientists and researchers and clinicians in homeopathy. In this document, I contacted few clinicians also. What according to them should be the priority area for research? Next, I drafted one draft, that was draft template for writing homeopathic clinical protocols. It is still available. If someone wants to write a clinical trial protocol, he can just use this because it's a template. So it's a part of literary research. Then I published Compendium of Homeopathic Open Access Articles, Volume 1, and then followed by Volume 2. I collated all the open access articles into 2 volumes. Maybe by next year, I would have third volume. That whosoever published those open access articles, why not to collate them at one place so that people have easy access? This is also research. Now, deviating from the topic a bit, that what is the research question? What is the right research question? Now, one is research question, one is the right research question. So what is the difference between that? A research comes from area of choice, interest, phenomena, or uncertainty. Now, this was Hahnemann's quest. He observed a phenomena, and he observed that area of uncertainty. It still holds today, true today, that we have interest in thyroid disorders, we have interest in endocrinology, we have interest in neurology. Choice, we are given choice when we do MD, which area you want to work upon. So we have that choice. People take practice of medicine, organon. And let me tell you, I was very interested in taking organon as my MD topic, but I was not given because people were ahead of me and they were all like, I got practice of medicine. Despite, running after the organon, I got the practice of medicine, but I was happy in that also. So area of interest, observed phenomena. I'm observing one thing. Why not to put that and testify that? You must have seen some protocol being practiced in some other countries, and people, they bring those protocol here and they testify those, because in Indian context, that is also from the research point of view, whether that protocol, that part of potency, that series of potency, that group of medicine, those intercurrents, they're still valid for Indian population. So that is the observed phenomenon. A good research question should always meet a finer criteria. It should be finer, simple acronym, finer. It is feasible, interesting, novel, ethical, and relevant. Is it feasible? Whatever I want to do, is it feasible? Ask yourself. Interesting. People say homeopathy in diabetes. It is too lame. So I'm sorry. Homeopathy in obesity, it is too lame. What exactly we wish to look upon? We need to narrow that, because these are huge endocrinal disorders, and we just want to, treat everything with homeopathy from research point of view, not from clinical point of view. Novel. It is ethical to experiment, or is it relevant for the society or the system? For example, characteristic feasibility. I want to explore the depth of the sea to see the Titanic. It is not possible. But I want to observe the movements of whales during daytime. It is feasible. So see the feasibility. I want to do a 1 crore research and I don't have 1 penny in my pocket. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. But yes, I can make a protocol. I can take ethical approval. I can go for the grants. Then I can do it. So that feasibility we need to assess. Institution, usually the student, when they come to me for this mentorship, so we don't have patients in our hospital. Now, this is a practical problem all over India, or all over world even, that certain institution or certain colleges, it is allowed. It is no, and there's nothing bad, because, for example, you are taking in a rare disease, and you cannot, it is not expected to find hundreds of patients in one go. So that feasibility, how many patients are attending OPD of your hospital, where you want to research upon. Interesting and clear. The role of homeopathy in improving the pulmonary function in emphysema. But in diabetes mellitus, what aspect you're looking for from research point of view? Don't take broad topics. They are not good for the contribution, because at the time of conclusion, you would be asked what your exact or the targeted conclusion is. So nowadays, you can find all the studies online and offline. They always conclude very crisp that this is the thing we were talking about, and homeopathy works like this. Is it worthy to take this research? It is worthy to worth investigating in terms of time needed, energy required, effects on or off for subjects. We must have seen people doing research or starting research, and in the middle they leave. Even we could have thought of, starting very making protocols, publishing research or publishing case series, but the moment it comes to the practicality, we leave in between. Ethical. Let us do no harm to the patient, whether it is psychological, social, financial, or physical. That is against the research. So it should be ethical. And I'm very happy that homeopathy follows the ethics, because it is safe, it is effective, it doesn't have any side effects. Relevance. What relevance I'm going to contribute to that part, to our society? For example, a well-researched area, and I'm doing the basic research or basic, very base research in that, it is not allowed, it is not expected. So how relevant that question is. Quickly about the literature, we'll cover in few minutes. What exactly literature review? It is to discuss of your knowledge about that topic. We all do that. We all consult materia medicas. Now, this is a literature review, that Boric says this, the Nash says this, Tyler says this. If we are searching one small thing from each and every materia medica we know, don't you think this is literature review? Because at the end, we know that it is comes from our experience of research, education, theory, and practice. When we have all the areas at our disposal, that is the literature review. Because at the end, we will know what is known, what duplicity of work it is there, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are the research design I need to design. Because this design part, I am telling, it is very notorious thing. Majority of the student of the early researcher, they fail in this research design only. They don't know what they are undertaking, and they are using the wrong designs and the right methods. Right? Is there any need for replication of that study? Because what we did can be summarized, that these are the 5 steps: the research question, the hypothesis formation, the formation of protocols and methodology, the data collection, and the data processing. Now, as a definition, research is always methodical. If it is not methodical, it is not research. For example, you can carry on patient for treating 5 years down the line, but if the research says that that patient need to be followed for 1 year, it is 1 year. So that methodology is important for the scientific method for that research part. That methodology actually defines that you are doing clinical practice or a clinical research, because in clinical practice there is no endpoint. We'll talk about endpoint just like 2 slides later, because there is no objective. The only objective is that we need to follow that patient and follow that patient to a concluding end. Now, this always should always remember when if we want to do research in our clinics, the PICO criteria. Now, T is also added the time. The population, what population we are targeting upon, what is the intervention we are going to give, what is the comparison, and what outcome we are expecting. For example, we are going to have population of 25 to 45 years. We are going to intervene by giving the belladonna in certain potencies or a group of medicine in certain potencies in cases of headache, or the indicated remedy in cases of headache. And at the end, we will be comparing those remedies and the outcome that yes, certain remedy they have affinity for certain ages and certain type of patient. We all do that. We all do that every day in our clinics. But we need to add the T, that is time, that because that time, the endpoint is important when we are going to stop that research. So 3 important things we need to always remember in research: the endpoint, objectives, and the outcome measures. What are the objectives? It can be one objective, a primary objective, to arrive at a group of remedies good for these kind of conditions. What are the outcome measures? Now, these outcome measures can be positive, negative, or neutral. Let's be very practical with the research. An endpoint where we will end that observation. For example, if I make a protocol for 2 years, the 6 month would be for recruitment of the patient. 1 year, I need to follow each and every patient. And at the end, or at the end of like 6 months, those would be deputed for the publications, right? So the next step, now we have understood the research part, the understanding what is research, what are the challenges, what are the design we can undertake, what are the basics about research. Now, what is the next step? What should I do to undertake that research? Sir, I have learned everything. I have research literacy. My research literacy is over. Now I'm entering into understanding. So what should I do? First is always share your idea with the persons you trust. Research is only done when many people they contribute to that research. I can do that research, but at the end I would be sharing that research to other people eventually. I cannot keep that research with me in my books, in my clinical case notes, and gone. Until unless I will not share that idea with the people I trust, I cannot build that research team. Invite their suggestion, comments, and criticism, because whatever I think, it is not the eternal truth. Unfortunately, what happens, every third or fourth homeopath consider themselves as not less than animals. There's no harm, but accept that criticism, because whatever I'm thinking, that may have some lacuna, some scope of uh, like improvement. And the I have seen the best of the scientists, they are humble. They're humble to receive the criticism. They're humble to receive the suggestions. Even if I'm going to tell them that, yes, sir, this is the small suggestion, they will accept that by heart. No, this is good. So they're humble. More experience they have, more humble they are. Alone, one cannot do research, so make a team. And that team should have at least one statistician, because statistics is important. It is one thing which can shape the research and take you to the heights, and it is one thing which can have a derogatory remarks on the research. Plan your research and prepare a timeline. This research may be a small survey, or maybe a small case study or a case series. Always prepare a timeline. Divide the work according to expertise. I am good in case taking. Someone should be good with the repertorization or the prescription or the potency or the preparation or the data collection or the analysis of that data. And we need to discuss that from time to time. Follow the timeline strictly. Yes, if you have the option, always try to identify a mentor. Now, the equal part of understanding research is to be a part of the research. So this is a small survey which is still valid. I'll share the link also about the dose quantification in homeopathy. I'm not going to go into details because of the time limit and duties assigned to me in this presentation. But yes, this is a small research I've taken being a clinician. And every clinician can contribute to that. What quantity of dose they're using in their practice, not the repetition, but suppose I'm using 4 pills, someone using 6 pills, 8 pills. So what is the average which runs, because this is open to every country and I'm receiving the responses also. Now with this, let us respect the time for discussion. Thank you so much for your patient listening, and I hope we'll meet again at some research portal or some more research discussions. Thank you.
It's really a very good session, sir, indeed. Though we have had more than 100 presentations on research in this forum, this was really an exemplary, brilliant one, and entirely a simple one. That is the beauty of your presentation. Really,
Thanks.
really that give an input to us how to go into research, what are the things not to be done, what are the things to be done, and how will you add the sweet to the cup of tea, like that. What kind of, what quantity of this sweet is, sugar is enough for half a cup of tea and 1 cup of tea. So that kind of difference you made in this presentation. Anyway, congratulations, sir. I hope we can have some more presentation in the future. And already Sridhar Kurupu sir is already, he's a research fellow, a retired assistant director from CCRH, is there to talk to you, sir. As Sridhar
Yes, sir.
Kurupu sir, now you can unmute yourself and speak to Dr. SAURAV Arora.
Yes, Dr. SAURAV Arora.
Yes, sir. Good, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. I am unable to open because I am my video is not here because I am sitting in another situation, so I cannot open. Sorry.
No
Then
problem, sir.
thank you very much. It is an excellent. It is the need of the hour. Such of the research protocol regarding the research, it is the need of the hour, what I feel, because the entire world, our opposite people are talking against us, whether it is scientific or not, or why it is, whether the people are doing research, that even that the people are doing research, that the people may not know what are the things are doing, even CCRH, what they are doing, that they may not know. But it is the need of the hour, what I feel. It is an extraordinary session, how to follow the protocols and how it is a simple way, how you can do the research. It is an excellent. Come again with such a good session. Thank you very much. Wish
Thank
you
you,
all.
sir. Thank you, sir. And I would like to announce one thing, because I take out a research e-journal, that is Research Updates Homeopathy. It's a quarterly. There was some gap for last year, but I'm again, going to have that issue. And this issue would be very interesting and very apt from research point of view, because in this issue onwards, I would be, putting a translational value or a comments for every study or abstract that is published in that quarter. For example, if we are reading one study, because see, this is like sir said, we need to translate, we need to disseminate that research, whatever suppose council is doing or the other people are doing. Many a time that research does not pass on to the general public or the population. Even if they, read about the in vivo model or ex vivo model or in vitro model, we are not like like being clinician, we are not concerned. But what if I can translate that complex research into 3 or 4 important lines and people can understand that? So I'm going to do that. Maybe by next week, I'll flash the research update e-journals and I'll send to you. And that would be like open access that can be read by anyone.
I'd like to ask 1 or 2 questions also.
Yes, sir.
What about your opinion about the research in animals and plants?
Yes, sir. Sir, I am associated with the veterinary research also. Like quite recently, I had like 3 peer-reviewed publications also. See, homeopathy is working on the veterinary and in agro models also. And let me first take the agro, because agro is one thing. In 70s and 80s, the agro research was in full bloom, but I don't know what happened. There was a team, if someone is interested, I can share the links also later. So those the Khurana et al, they had extensive research on the agro part, and this agro part can be a very game-changing phenomena, because nowadays, if we are talking of the organic alternatives of the, let's say, fertilizers, or the things which improve the productivity of the crop, so homeopathy is allowed, it is feasible, it has that power to penetrate the plants and improve the productivity. First, in veterinary, yes, because see, the sensitivity to veterinaries is rising, and so does the option for the mode of treatments which are safe, effective, and have no side effect. And homeopathy is one of them, can be easily and safely given in veterinaries. And now, here the real challenge of homeopathy comes when we do not have those subjective symptoms in plants and animals. Now we are talking about the targeted or the systemic materia medica, which the remedies goes, and because of the affinities for those system, they're acting.
Anyway, it's a very to that question, sir. And the session now, I invite you to have a chat. You can say the auto thanks also.
Yes, sir.
Uh, yeah, it was a wonderful session from Dr. Saurav Arora. Today, we have a lot many sessions regarding different subjects, but in spite of being a dry subject, Dr. Saurav elaborated various aspects of about how to, view research as a model to showcase our work that homeopathy is doing around the world. And I would like to ask him that how is there any kind of a prerequisite model, or we can have certain guidelines for the clinicians, so that as soon as a student passes out of the college and starts doing his practice, he starts seeing cases, and even in their early practice or later on, they come across many cases, like very difficult cases of you can have leukoderma or other skin cases, or cancer and other cases, where you get very wonderful and beautiful results. But we need to have certain fixed guidelines for the clinicians, so that they can easily assess and provide their work as a research paper. So I would like some insights on that also, or we can have further more presentations, as we are restricted today in time. We can have a presentation more on that aspect, that what kind of guidelines the clinicians would be having to have their work put forward and can be brought forward in the research aspect. So it was a wonderful session from Dr. Saurav Arora, and we would like to have him furthermore again in this forum, and we share his more important and valuable insights. So thank you, Dr. Saurav.
Thank you, Dr. Neha, and thank you all. Just quickly, 2 seconds. There are case record guidelines developed and which are available online. And uh, luckily, I was one of the expert in the Delphi rounds of those case record guidelines. Maybe we can have one separate presentation somewhere down the line for those case record guidelines only, because they are available and they are valid home case guidelines, and they can be used by clinicians to write and report cases. And with
Okay.
this, I would like to thank you, each and every one of you, for your patient listening and contributing. And thank you so much. We'll meet again.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
sure.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Neha and Dr. Saroga. This evening, and we have a very tea in this evening, definitely. And tomorrow we will have a session from Dr. Shalini, and she will be talking about the management of malaria with homeopathy, because World Malaria uh, Day celebration was done yesterday. So today, and on 25th of this April, So already it is over. Anyway, she will be presenting a paper on that. Thank you all for joining this session, and thank you for joining the discussion also. And with that, we come to the end of the day 1300. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
So